Honey. I am flesh, and I am blood, and you have offended me. Today's going to be a little different. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Maureen Moody, and I'm the Curious Stylist, and I want to build your confidence in your career through education and science. So if you're curious, consider sticking around. Today is more of a story time. So if you are not interested in story time, you might want to bounce on out right now. I had just learned how to do the platinum card method. So this lady comes in. The coworker that I was talking to you about, my coworker, her name was, I'm going to change her name, Mildred. Okay. So I had a coworker, and we're going to call her Mildred. Mildred had good days, and Mildred had some bad days. And she was an older woman. She was in her 70s, and believe it or not, we still had her as the shampoo assistant. She didn't really work behind the chair very much, so basically she just did shampoo. Believe it or not, she did a pretty good job for a good many years. I mean, she'd had the job for about 20 years. If you're the right fit, then, everybody in the salon is like family, if that makes sense. Mildred had been there for over 20 years. So I've only been at the salon for about 3 years, and everybody else that I work with has been there 10 years, 15 years. So, they all have rapport, and they know each other, and they all, for the first couple of years, I didn't feel like I fit in like I do now, if that makes any sense. That being said, I had learned a new technique called the platinum card method a couple years ago, about 3 years ago. And I was super excited about it because I was like, wow, So anyway, I learned the platinum card method. This lady comes in, and we're going to name her Janice. So Janice comes in, and she had used to work at a salon 100 years ago, and she's in her 70s as well. Mildred is in her 70s. Janice is in her 70s. So they have a rapport. And Janice is sitting in my chair, and when you're looking at somebody and you kind of feel like you're not connecting, but you still have to go in the back and kind of do your job. And so I was doing the consultation, but I didn't feel like we were on the same ground. And where I messed up was I shouldn't have moved forward until I knew concretely what she was asking for. She told me she wanted a double process. She showed me the swatches she wanted to reach in the first sitting. And because she worked in a salon, I was a little bit intimidated, and I really wanted to make her happy, Like I said, I was excited about using the platinum card method, so I started putting the foils in the hair with the lightener to lift her and do the double process that she had asked for. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm trying out this new method. Oh, you don't have to do it that way. You can do it, the other way, where you just slap the bleach on my head. And I'm like, I know I could do it that way, but it's not going to get you to where you want to be in one sitting, where if I do it this way, I'm excited, I think it's going to get you there faster. And it's been really cool because I just learned this in class. Well, she starts shutting up, and her personality sort of changes. Now, sometimes I don't pick up on things right away because maybe I've got 50 million other things. Anyway, I didn't pick up on her attitude change right away. I didn't understand. And because she worked in a salon for a few years, she believed, if that's the way they did it, then that's the way we should always do it, and you shouldn't change. She didn't want me to try a new technique. She only wanted me to use what she knew, but it wasn't going to get her to where she wanted to go. And I really wanted to make those target colors that she was showing me. And I knew I could do it with the platinum card. So I'm putting the foils in, and we're talking, and everything seems to be okay. And she goes to the back sink, and she starts getting her hair washed, right? you know when I'm double booking at this point. So I'm taking care of another guest, and I look over and I see Mildred talking to Janice. I knew by the body language that Mildred was not talking about me in a favorable light, and neither was Janice. The color or the lightener is washed off. I tone her, and then I get her in the seat and I pull out the swatches and I'm like, look, we hit the target colors that you wanted, right? You can see, and I was really proud of myself because I had taken her 10-0 and 10-4. And I put those swatches up to her head and there was no difference. Her hair matched. And I was really excited because I felt like I had made success in a technique that I used, and it got her to where she wanted in one sitting instead of taking several sittings to do it. But Janice did not care about that. Janice was angry that I didn't follow what she considered her proper protocol because she worked in a salon and she thought I was just being some upstart that was trying to be a little Miss Know-It-All. And so did Mildred. Mildred thought I was trying to be a little Miss Know-It-All. Now, the thing that really upset me about working in this situation was that Mildred, I thought, was my friend. I thought Mildred and I had a pretty good rapport. But when that lady started talking badly about me, not only did she not have my back, but she didn't even have the salon's back. Janice leaves, right? And Mildred doesn't say anything to me at all. And the next day, one of my girlfriends that I work with is like, well, Janice came back in and she was yelling and screaming about how unhappy she was about her hair and that you did a terrible job and all of this stuff, right? And at that point, I knew. I wasn't sure if Mildred and Janice had been talking, but after that, I pretty much knew. Both times when she went back to the sink, both times, the first time was to get the lightener out of her hair and the glaze out. I knew both times that something wasn't right in Whoville. Pissed. I mean, we're talking pissed because if the shoe were on the other foot, I would have had her back. I would have at least told her, hey, listen, Janice isn't happy, or I think that she could tell me, she should have at least let Bonnie know. But she was happy to see Janice leave angry that she didn't get what she asked for. And so I was really upset because, one, I did exactly what she asked for. She showed me those swatches, and not only did I achieve them, but I achieved them the first time. And to me, that was the first time in the industry that I was ever able to accomplish that. So I was I felt when you see a figure skater and she lands that spinning thing and she gets a 10 because she's landed that really difficult rotation with the leg thing. You know what I'm talking about. And she gets the 10 for her performance. I felt like I had performed and I had gotten the 10. But my lady, she was angry. So I was pissed. And I thought to myself, we've had history, me and Mildred, before. But this ratcheted up the history. And so the thing that really upset me about this situation was that Mildred's two sons were pretty well off, and they supported their mom, and they took very good care of her. She got paid hourly, and I'm paid on commission. And I knew that lady, I did the job that I was supposed to do, and somebody else ended up having to fix my work. So that money got I was not credited for all the work that I did. So I just did 4 hours worth of work, and that got flushed down the toilet just so that she could feel awesome about herself. So when I went in and she was like, oh, well, I'm going to wash your people. And I was like, you will not touch my people again. It's better that I have nobody than I have you to wash my people. I will wash my own people. I cannot trust you. She's like, I can't believe that you would say that. I said, yes. You know what? Do you think this is a game to me? This is not a game to me. This is my livelihood. And how dare you think that I don't care enough by you not telling me that she was unhappy, that Janice was unhappy. Basically, you're saying to me that I don't care enough about my people. And she was like, well, I can't believe you. I said, I don't really care. I said, you think that this is a game. You think that you can just say whatever you want and it's not going to matter, but it is going to matter. And how dare you not talk to me about it? What does that, you know what that communicates to me? That you don't think that I care about the salon or my work. How dare you? I'm like, you're supposed to have my back, and you don't have my back. And I said, so no, you are not touching my people. And she was like, well, you're a Christian, and you're supposed to. I said, honey, I am flesh, and I am blood, and you have offended me. I said, it would be better to have nobody than to have you. Don't you dare touch my people. Now, as I finished saying that to her, I looked over and I happened to see one of my classiest clients sitting in her chair, waiting for me to take care of her. And my heart sank because I knew that what I just did was like beyond unprofessional. And I wanted to crawl underneath like a chair and die, literally. So I thought to myself, holy crap, Maureen, your guest just saw you lose your mind like a crackhead. And I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to recover from this? There is no way to recover from this. Like, I'm probably going to lose her as a client because she just saw me at my absolute worst. I mean, I just lost my mind on Mildred. I just lost my mind on her. I walk over to Diane and I go, oh my gosh, Diane, I am so sorry that you saw that. I know it was completely unprofessional and there is no excuse for what you just saw, and I'm really sorry. And she was like, I didn't see anything. I don't even know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, God. And so me and Mildred did makeup. So I'll tell you that story because I think it's important to see how sometimes in salons we bump into one another. But I'm going to go get another cup of tea because I'm really thirsty. With a blow up like that, I had to do some damage control. And I basically told Mildred, which is not her real name, that's why I keep stumbling over it. But I said to Mildred, I am calling Bonnie and we are having a talk. Because I am done with you. I am done with you. So Bonnie is my boss. And Bonnie's one of the best bosses I've ever had. They start asking basically, my side and her side. And when you start doing the my side, your side thing, it's just tick for tat, So they ask me what, my opinion is. And they ask me to tell my story. So I tell my story about how I did the lady's hair exactly the way that she wanted, the way that she had communicated to me that she wanted it. And that I saw Mildred talking to Janice, and I could pick up that the both of them were talking about me. Now, I know that people are going to say, oh, well, that was just conjecture, but I don't think it was. As a matter of fact, I know it wasn't. And she said, oh, no, you're just sensitive, and you didn't, you didn't see it right. You didn't understand what you were looking at, But the bottom line was this. It didn't matter. Janice was communicating that she was not happy to Mildred, and Mildred did not communicate that to me. So there was no lying around that. But she did, but because, Bonnie knew Mildred a lot longer than I did. They had a special relationship. So of course she's going to kind of take her side, or not side, but you know what I mean? She's going to have a more of a deference to her, because they've known each other, they're like family. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to tell my story, and Mildred's, cutting into my story, and then Mildred goes to tell her story, and I start I'm listening to it, and I'm like, so at that time, I had my inner voice, because, I didn't want this to turn into a tit for tat. I didn't want it to go back and forth, and, you know what I mean? Nobody giving here. So there is that scripture, or the proverb that says, a soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I get this inner voice that goes, cut to the heart here. And I looked at Mildred, and I said to her, because she was going on about how she was defending herself. And I looked at her and I said, do you think that I really want to think that way about you? Do you honestly think that I want to believe that you sabotaged me? I thought we were friends. So of course, I don't want to believe that, but I know what I saw. And she was like, well, maybe you misunderstood. I knew that she was unhappy, and blah, 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 blah. So for the sake of my boss, her daughter, and Mildred, I made nice. And we were able to work together, and we never fought like that again. We laughed about it later, but I also knew that, when you're working with your coworkers, you just have to be cautious. You wish that you could trust them. You work, sometimes you see them more than you see your own family. So I hope that you found this to be helpful. And if you like my story times and you are interested in more, please comment below. I would love to know if you found these to be helpful. That would be I would know whether or not to continue with it. I have 5,000 stories, just like anybody else, but I enjoy listening to these stories. So if this is something that you want to keep coming back to, I can't promise I'll do it all the time, but I felt like sharing this one because I feel like it's okay. It's not okay to lose your ever-loving mind at work, but it's okay to recover when you've messed up. And I feel like sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves, especially in this business, to stay professional, to stay on task, to do the right thing. And those things are all very important, especially staying professional. But every once in a while, somebody stirs the pot, and you just got to deal with it. So that is my story for today. I hope you liked it. So please leave comments below if you want me to tell some more stories.